I'm Cole Brown,
And I'm Eddie Sykes.
and we're doing the Kings River flood. The Kings River flooding of 2017 was caused by snowmelt. The event was preceded by nearly record temperatures and exceeded 100 degrees Fahrenheit for multiple days. This triggered the melting of snow in remote areas. Because this occurred in seclusion, there was no way for management officials to know at what rate the snowmelt was occurring. Engineers at Pine Flat Lake witnessed this firsthand and began to release excess water from the reservoir into the Kings River. Eventually, the overflow breached the bank and the levees of the river, and this resulted in a wide range of flooding, which ended up displacing a wide range of people.
The range of flooding was widespread, although no casualties were reported. The main causation of the flooding was due to snowmelt, which is typically seasonal. However, this particular flood was caused by higher than average temperatures. As climate change becomes more and more noticeable, and temperature extremes become more common, it would not be surprising for the snowmelt to become more and more plentiful. This is indicative of an increased risk of this happening in the future. 90 homes were put under mandatory evacuation orders, while other regions near the river were put under voluntary evacuation orders. In total, roughly 300 people were evacuated from the flood zones. While the damage from the flooding was not severe, several structures and RVs were damaged from the floodwaters.
Evacuations were put into place along the Kings River and the Kings River Golf Course to minimize the risk of human fatalities. Sandbags were also used to minimize the damage. The sandbags were placed both by hand and dropped by helicopter. There are also several dams and reservoirs along the river. These dams and reservoirs are used to regulate the amount of water present. This water is usually the result of snowmelt. The management practices around these areas concerning water are complicated, as there is a delicate balance managers must maintain in order to make sure that there is enough water in the reservoirs to allow for irrigation in the later parts of the year. However, water must also be released to compensate for the snowmelt to avoid flooding. There were practices in effect before the flooding began. However, the ongoing management and the observation of snowmelt is becoming more and more imperative as climate change becomes more prevalent.